My teaching philosophy is based on research that indicates that a child's growth is developmental. I believe that children should be encouraged to learn and grow by providing a foundation of developmentally appropriate experiences where all children can succeed in a safe and nurturing environment. Additionally, I believe that each child is a unique individual and that all children have the ability to learn. It is important to provide inclusive settings that recognize children's varied abilities, interests, needs, and learning styles. I also believe that children learn best through meaningful play, which encourages curiosity, discovery, and problem solving. These skills allow individual growth and development of a positive self image. Furthermore, I recognize that parents are the child's first teachers. Children learn best when parents are involved in their educational program. The primary bridge between home and school is the involvement of family and community. The artifact in my portfolio that best chronicles my growth as an early childhood educator, I think, is my resume because it clearly outlines my growth from a early childhood daycare provider who then entered in the academic arena to further my education, where I earned my associate's degree. I began work in a preschool program, first as the teacher's aide, then worked as the assistant teacher, and I left that program after 6 years for another opportunity within the Great Start to Quality program. And I believe the resume outlines those steps in order as they correspond with my education and experience. So I think that highlights my growth the best. The worst lesson I ever taught, I think the first time I led instruction as a teacher's aide, when I was giving instruction to the preschool class, it started with stand up, and that's all the kids heard. They tuned out the rest. All they heard was stand up. I wanted them to stand up if they were wearing the color red. But since they were preschoolers, they listened to my directions and they stood up. So, what I learned from that first experience is the direction part needs to come after the information part. So, for me, the next time that I gave that particular direction, instead of saying stand up if you're wearing red, I said, if you are wearing the color red, please stand up. And the children understood clearly my direction and were able to interpret what I was asking of them correctly and appropriately. How I modify my teaching to reach students who are struggling to perform at grade level. I think as educators, it's important to learn how to assess and recognize developmental levels and also respect that each child reaches specific developmental levels in their own time, not on a generic time frame just because they're 3 or just because they're 4. They reach them when they are ready. For example, an activity would be patterning, which is a common activity in preschool. Some children may be able to identify a pattern and name the colors green, red, green, red, green, red. Some children will be able to interpret that and say that it's an A-B pattern. Some children can take it to the next step and add a third color. Some can do repeating patterns on their own and create them. For those children that are able to not only create unique patterns and also identify them, I like to pair those students with some of their peers who are only able to copy a pattern that I make or another classmate makes. That way, the developing student is learning from a peer, while the other peer that has already mastered that skill is also building their confidence and learning through the eyes of their classmate. It's an effective tool that I like to use within the classroom, and I find that it really works and it helps keep the children engaged, and sometimes they learn and grasp the concepts better when it comes from a peer instead of an adult. Data drives decision making in early childhood education. A lot of time in the preschool classroom is spent taking observational notes. Notes are taken in every activity, on every child, every day. And at the end of the recording period, those notes are used to share with families, to discuss what the parents would like to see in goals for their children. And also, parents and families are able to discuss and note their child's growth, or maybe even an area where they might have regressed. So the data really is the basis of planning activities or lessons as a group for the class, but also to identify the needs of individual children.